Dallas trading floor Thursday on Dallas trading floor, and the market is still really tough to figure out. We're still in a correction where the market is in correction. I tried to buy a few things today, not so much. I'll show you that in just a second. It's a tough market because we're still in correction. There's a lot of stuff that's setting up. We're still a little bit early, but I am kind of thinking that we may be on the verge here, on the verge of running, of turning back up. But, still tough market. So stay mostly in cash. And, let's get into it. Basically, the situation is, it's still kind of going sideways. We're still in correction. You have to be super careful. It's a hard one to play. And kind of what I want to show you here are sort of the three conditions that, excuse me, I need to get a little water there. The three conditions that we typically want to look at. Now, typically, yesterday the market was still in correction. So if we were doing this strictly on the CAN Slim, we would avoid making any new buys. We would want to protect our profit, basically take profits here, cut our losses short, and start building our watch list. Now, I've started building the watch list, and by the way, if you're, and I did send out the ready list to the people on the Discord room. Of course, that's the special paid service, but we will be sending it out probably to everyone that's on the action trade alerts. But of course, everybody in the Discord room gets first dibs on everything, so that they can make their actions. But that's going to be coming out here. But you need to be on the on the list for that, and it's pretty easy. Obviously, to get on the list, just go to Dallas Trading Floor, www.Dallas Trading Floor, or if you're watching on TikTok, just go to the link and first and last name and an email address, and you'll get that alert. So, getting back to kind of the way it rolls out. Basically, when we're currently in a market in correction now. Hopefully, when this starts starting up, we'll be in a confirmed uptrend. That's when we want to start buying. We want to start going out of cash into the market. Typically, what will happen is if it'll go to a market in a correction, and then it will come right back up. Usually, not going through the uptrend under pressure. The uptrend under pressure basically is when the market uptrend is slowing. It'll go from market uptrend under pressure, and then market in correction. When the market in correction has a follow-through day, it goes back up to confirmed uptrend. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you on that. So kind of interesting. Here are the indexes, the major indexes. We did have a little bit of a bounce on the Dow. We're still not moving on the NASDAQ. Most of the growth stocks are, of course, in the NASDAQ. And that's a very important area. The S&P was down a little bit. So the Dow stocks are starting to move. Currently, I only own one Dow stock, and of course, that's Nike, and that has been doing fairly well. And I did kind of put my toe in the water a little bit yesterday with DR Horton. It's an S&P 500 stock, and it's in the home building area. That seems to be an area of strength that I've been seeing. There's another one that I just kind of want to mention in passing, and that's a Green Brick Partners. Green Brick Partners, and I'll be showing that in just a second. I'm not in it, but I think it's an interesting business because it did move up very convincingly today. Here's a ratio. Here's what I look at to see when there's going to be a market turn. It's called the high-low ratio indicator, and it's just basically it's sort of bottomed out. It's gone below 0.5. I don't know if you can see this on the chart, but because it's below 0.5, we are looking for the market to start to turn. This is a psychological indicator, but it's pretty accurate. When it gets down below 0.5, that's when we're starting. That's when we might see a reversal. This is why I'm started getting a little bit bullish. I'm trying to go into the market, maybe a little bit early here, but I'm building the watch list. So hopefully that's the way. But this is the high-low indicator, and it can be very accurate. There is IBD, Investor Business Daily, did have one stock of the day today. I'm not in it, but it does have a double bottom. It's an interesting stock. It's, Temper Sealy, the mattress people. Actually, I actually have one of those, believe it or not. Um, and it seems to be looking good. I would approach this one though with extreme caution right now, just because of just because of how it's trading. But that definitely is potentially a stock today. It's TPX, Tempur-Pedic Sealy. Here are the stocks that I'm in. As you can see, I am 0 for 5 today. Everything I have is down. Nike is down. The QQQ is down. Of course, that's the Nasdaq 100 ETF. I'm down on DR Horton, it's just 2 cents. Not too worried about that one. I did buy a position in yellow. That's down 7%. I may have been stopped out of this one. I don't know. I'll have to check it. I probably was stopped out of yellow. I did set the stop loss a little bit weak on this one. This is a trucking company, and I'm also down on the trade desk. So I'm 0 for 3, 0 for 5 today. Not the kind of look that I always want to see. Before I get into the questions, there are 2 spreads that I have. I have an iron condor, which I'd like to show you, and it is on Costco. And Costco, of course, is reporting tonight. And then I have a bull put spread, bull call spread on LSI. So let's take a look at the iron condor and Costco first. I'm just going to kind of go through the charts here. Now, I have updated this one. Currently, as you can see, we're moving into that green zone, which is very nice. Very nice to see. We opened this trade basically on the 2nd, and of course it's the 9th now, so that's looking pretty good. This one's going into the green zone. Of course, probably will be making all the money on this one, I hope. That's sort of the idea. Here's how I got into the trade, basically by buying the 17th December puts here, and then selling simultaneously the calls. What this is basically it's two spreads put together, and that's why it's good at handling. It's very, very good. This one's very, very good at handling the any fluctuation. Iron condors are great in a volatile market like we are now. So if you want to get access to this, you can just go to www. Dallas Trading Floor. I think it's still up on there. If not, I will probably put a page where you can click on this to see the decks on this one. But kind of an interesting trade there. Well, last but not least, before we get into the questions, this is the bull call spread on LSI, which is a storage company. They have storage all over the country, so kind of an interesting thing here. I kind of want to advance, and this went out yesterday, so I just kind of want to show you where this one's at. This one's fell back a little bit. We went into the trade at 141. It closed today at 139. So hopefully we'll start to see some more. We'll start to see it turn, but has a pretty good chart. Kind of want to show you that. This is the chart here. So we do have an upward trending chart. It did pull back a little bit today, correct? But I think over the next few days, this is about a 2-week trade. It's a pretty short trade. And if it moves down too much, I will close it. But pretty short trade, which I think that we can benefit on hopefully in the next week or two, if we get the turn in the market. So those are the 2 that I have up to now. So let's take a look at some of the questions. Thanks so much. Excuse me. Let's look at G. For G, let's look at the path and take a look at path and see what we have to see there. Unipath, not kind of a chart I'm interested in looking at, unfortunately. Take a look at this one. It's sort of moving down, kind of drastically. Don't like this is the first thing, by the way, when you're looking at charts, this is the first thing I do. I click over here to the weekly chart, and then I look to see the general overall direction of the chart. And let's see if I can change it over to that. Let's do that right now. I was showing you the wrong chart. There we go. So let's go to current chart. There we go. All right. So this is path. This is path, and this is on the weekly chart here. As you can see, that's the weekly. Oops. That's the weekly chart here. The direction on this chart is downward. So right out of the box, unfortunately, this would be disqualified as a stock to buy. Even though, and I want to show you this, even though we have an upturn in the relative strength, and we have these nice sales that are coming in here. I don't know quite why this chart is the way it is. Look at those very, very nice sales, but 99% of the funds own this. Is basically owned by funds. So I can't quite figure out why. It's just, but there's just been a sell-off here. They came through earnings. The earnings were very good. And the question is, are they turning up? They might be. Let's go to the daily chart. Let's see if this is a reversal. You know, I would be a little bit cautious about buying this right now just because of this. What I would kind of, you know, I did initially buy in here way back in April. I sold it because it just didn't behave correctly. And then I haven't been in it since. I was in here basically at 79.88. It pulled back 3%. I sold out. Now it's at 47. This is why it sometimes pays to wait. The question is, are we going to get a reversal? Well, we might get a reversal, but let's kind of draw that line. This is the reversal line. I'm going to set an alert on it. But right now it's just not buyable at this level. It's just not a good place to buy it. But I'm going to set a reversal line here, and if it does reverse higher than that, then we might consider doing something here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the notes reversing upward. So that's kind of, hopefully it does reverse upward. But right now we can't really do anything with it, unfortunately, because it's still in a downward trend. We just don't kind of know where it's going to be. So right now this is a watch list and wait for the reversal. That's really kind of what you got to do here. You really have to wait for this reversal above this black line here. I kind of drew in this black line. That's right here. So we want to see it move above this black line. Currently, we have the we have the 40-day on the top, the 21-day, and the 10-day. So they're all lower. So this is not, we really need to wait for reversal. There's been some selling, and it popped up a little bit today on the 15-minute chart, but still overall, this one is a watch list. 67 checklist on it. Let's look at some of the technicals on it. The RS rating is only 14. This is not an RS or good rating that you want. So really what you got to do is you got to wait on this one. This just doesn't look that good. Doesn't look that good. So let's take questions from TikTok. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, you can you can take a look at all the charts and everything by going to this address here, DTF 439. That's bit.ly DTF 439. Or just go to the profile, click on the link, and you'll be able to scroll right on down to where the charts are, and that's on a YouTube. That's on a YouTube feed. All right, let's take a look. This is a question from. I'm trying to look here. Sam, I think it's. Okay, this is a question about Lucid, and Lucid was hit hard today. So I'm gonna bring up the chart here for Lucid. Oh, I think LCID is the symbol for Lucid. Yeah, Lucid Group. Let's look at the daily chart and go right to that. Yeah, there we go. Just not a chart I'm liking, unfortunately, for Lucid. Just not a very, very good chart. It went down. It tested the 40-day line. It's bounced a little bit after hours. That's a good sign. But basically, this is not a trend that we want. This is a bad trend. And I just think it's, even though it's in the number 3 area, I think you just got to watch list this one probably avoid it, but I would watch list this. Um, I would watch list this for right now. So watch this one. Watch list this one, and I think that's probably the best thing for you can do for Lucid is to watch list this right now. Now, for everybody out there, what do I mean by watch list? Jim's talking about this watch list thing. What is it? Well, basically, what you do is when you're looking through charts, you want to either annotate them on your charting software or write notes about them and set alerts. And you can do this. You don't have to pay for MarketSmith like I have. You can use the charts in Yahoo Finance. They work very, very well for alerts. Set alerts, and if it moves above a certain or below, that's where you want to look at it again. But this is a watch list for Lucid. It just isn't doing too well right now, so I would be very, very careful with this one. Just because it just isn't looking right. So you don't want to enter Lucid right now. Not a good thing to do, unfortunately. TD. Interesting. Okay, TD. Let's take a look at TD. Toronto Dominion Bank. You know what? And I actually have an account there, believe it or not. So I do like this one. I just don't like the financials all that much. But let's kind of do a fundamental analysis because this is a bank. Fundamentally, I like the fact that their profits are going up very, very nicely. Look at this. They've had some very, very good numbers here. Their earnings per share went up 31%. Very nice for a bank, but their sales are going down. So I don't know what to think about this one. I don't really think so. It has a relative strength of 85. By the way, Toronto Dominion Bank and the Canadian banks in particular are some of the strongest in the world, much stronger than the banks in the U.S. By the way, this comes as a surprise to a lot of people, but the banks in Canada, and I actually also have an account at BMO, Bank of Montreal. They are some of the strongest banks in the world, believe it or not. And so you've got Bank of Montreal, you've got Toronto Dominion, you've got Scotia, you've got I think it's industrial company. But anyways, if you're looking to put your money in a very, very strong bank, all the major 6 banks in Canada are very strong. It's very interesting. They're some of the strongest banks in the world. So, but that said, would I want to own Toronto Dominion? Probably not. I want to put my money there. I just don't want to own their stock. They have a pretty good checklist though, and it's just the fact that I'm not really that excited about the banking sector right now. It's 112 out of 197, so it's a little bit low there. But I do really, really like the strength of Toronto Dominion Bank. I want to put my money there. I don't want to own the bank. So that's my opinion, but I don't want to own the bank. It's just not a good profit maker, but a great place to store your profits though. Oracle, ORCL. Let's see what Larry Megabucks is up to. Boy, yeah, it's at the bottom of the consolidation. Yes, it can turn higher. Am I excited about this? Well, earnings are due out tonight. Boy, they did have some good earnings, so look at that. Man, that's incredible. So 94. Woo. Okay, I got to show you this. This is interesting. They must have really had some good numbers here because the after hours are just spectacular. 94.65, up $5. So maybe I'm gonna put a little check mark there. Maybe this one might be coming out of its long sleep. It only has a 67% checklist. The sector is very good though. 19. Let's get the technicals here. So it was off a little bit today. Wow, it is really up. So they must have just had a fabulous report. I haven't seen the news on it yet. Let's see if I can find out if there's earnings. Oh, I guess this hasn't been reported yet, but yeah, it looks like they had an excellent report. So can you buy this at this point? Boy, it's at the bottom of the consolidation. It had a tremendous report. It basically is you're gonna see a gap up tomorrow to about that level. So the question is, do you want to buy on a gap up? Here's my opinion with gap ups. You're going to see it move up. You're going to see the chart gap up to about there tomorrow morning. Do you want to buy on a gap up? Boy, I sometimes it can be really, really good. I mean, we're still below the buy point. The buy point is 98.95, and the after hours is 95. So a lot of people are buying this one right now. It looks like a lot of heavy money is coming in. So this might be a good buy. I'm just looking here at the sales. The sales have been relatively lackluster, but the profits have been good, as always they are with Larry's companies. Wow. Hard to say if I would buy it tomorrow, but this is buyable. This is buyable. It's going to be a gap up tomorrow. So, buyable. Will gap up. Morning. So, the correct way, of course, to play this would have been with the options trade. Of course, I didn't do that. But this is going to gap up tomorrow. Absolutely going to gap up tomorrow, and they must have had some tremendous earnings. So congratulations, especially if you're in this one. Wow, you made a really, really, really good move here, because this is going to gap up tomorrow, and it's going to gap up strongly. So the question is, do you want to get in? Well, if it's below the pivot tomorrow, if it gaps up and you can buy it below about 98.95, that might be a really good buy. So if you can buy below about that 98.95 tomorrow, which I don't know if you're going to be able to do it, because it looks like a gap up. So buy Oracle below 98.95 tomorrow. So that's looking really, really, really strong. And they must have had some great earnings. I haven't seen the earnings, so I don't know kind of what the deal is. But thank you for that very, very much. That's a real good call there. That's a really, really good call. All right, moving on. Thoughts on TSN? Let's get TSN. At that, Tyson Foods. I've eaten a lot of Tyson Foods. I've eaten a lot of chicken in my life. It's in the buy zone right now, boy. But I just don't like where this is. The food meat products people, 136 out of 197. Not a particularly high tech area of the market. I mean, these guys are the leader, but still, I don't know. You could buy this. It's not my kind of stock, to be honest. It's up from the pivot, the 8101 pivot. It's up about 3% from there in 36 days, which is pretty good. And it's just right. I don't know. It's a cup basis. I don't like to buy cups as much as I like cup with handles, but it does kind of look like a cup with handle eventually. Boy, the prior uptrend was 16% last time it broke out in. So yeah, I mean this one might be the stage one. So the last time this broke out back in August 13th, it moved up 16%. This time it hasn't done that yet, but it actually broke out lower. So I don't know. I don't think I would buy this one, just because I think that there's better opportunities out there. So I would be. Oops, I gotta get that. I would be a little bit. I would be a little bit cautious about this one, and I would, I would watch list. I wouldn't buy this now. So for TCN, I wouldn't. Buy it now, but I would watch list. And that's the problem, is you get a huge watch list like I have, but still it's worth watching it. So here's the thing. I wouldn't buy Tyson right now, TCN. Wouldn't buy this one, but I would consider buying I would consider watch listing it. It is one of the best in its area. It is one of the best in its area, but it is not. It is not in a leading group. And when we come back into this uptrend, which I think we will do, hopefully by the end of the week, possibly by the beginning of next week, I want to be in the best names. I want to be in the best areas. So speaking of that, let's take a look in on, where the market is telling us, what sectors do we need to kind of start looking to get into, just because, the sector we want to get into the sectors that have the most, the most potential. So we want to be kind of going where the big fish are. And so let's take a look at that list and see kind of how how that looks. And basically, the number one group currently is the fabless electric semiconductor area, and I have no exposure here, and I want to get exposure here. So I'm trying to get exposure to AMD right now, because that I don't have exposure to it yet. I sold into strength. I took profits before this little downturn, but I'm looking to get back in because this is the strongest sector. The second strongest sector out there is the retail department store. This is where Macy's and Kohl's lives. That's the second strongest. Now, there's only 31 stocks in there, so it's not as big of an area. And then I did buy a trucking firm. That's number 4 on the list. Oops, yeah, it's number 4 on the list. And I did buy Yellow. And then I am out of the automobile manufacturer. I took profits on Tesla. So this is kind of where I want to be. I'm really interested in these electronic semiconductor retail department stores, and retail wholesale department, wholesale jewelry. I'm not really that interested. There's only 7 companies in there, and the trucking firms, believe it or not. So let's see, kind of for that very reason, let's go to the semis and see if there's any setups in the semis that are looking good. Right now, number 1, Rambus. And I had Rambus and I did sell it. I want to probably get back into it. Unfortunately, it's too extended. I sold it when it pulled back. I should have held on. But as you can see, this was a good one. I bought the full, and then I wrote it up, and then as it pulled back, I jumped out of it. I may be getting back into this one. I very much like this. I like this company, Rambus. I'm not in it currently. I sold into strength. Second one, of course, is Broadcom. Let's see if that's even viable. This is a very expensive stock. Not really, unfortunately. Let's see. Let's look at AMD just to see kind of if we can buy AMD. This is the one I think that we should start trying to come back into, is AMD, because I did write it up, and then I was stopped out. I took profits. Now it's come back. It looks like it's getting support at the 21-day line. This is not the optimal place to buy it. This is essentially, it's definitely ridden up, over 20%. This, by the way, just to show you this, and this is a really interesting thing to look at, but this is why the 20% sell rule is so important. You see, that's the break, that's the pivot there. This is 20% profit, okay? Notice, and this is really interesting, this happens in many stocks, but notice how when we do a breakout, it sort of goes up to about 20 to 25%, and then it starts getting funky. This is true in many stocks, and then it settles down, it bases out, and then it does another step up. So this is why the ultimate place to buy is right below the breakout, at the breakout, right above the breakout, and then ride it up, hopefully 20%, start selling the strength, wait for it to come back, and then go up again. So I definitely think that is the case here that we can be looking at for AMD. So I wanted to kind of show you that for AMD. I'm going to switch to the weekly chart in AMD. This is kind of, we're looking for stocks with strength. Look at what's happened. We came out of this very nice base. We moved up 20%. We topped, and we came back down, getting some strength right about the 40-day line. And now I think we're going to continue up once up again. As you can see, this is just base on base on base. Here's the first base, here's the second base, third base, fourth base. So that's kind of how a stock trades, a really top stock like AMD. It will move up to a base, pull back, then move up to a base, pull back, and then move up to a base and pull back. And that's definitely what's happening here. So this is something that we want to probably watch list and be prepared to buy when the market turns, because this is likely to be a very, very good stock. Once again, it has been for a while, and I think it's likely to be again. So, get ready to buy AMD when the market moves into a uptrend, a confirmed uptrend. That's really, because this is a leading stock in a leading sector, and when the market turns to a confirmed uptrend, that's a good buy signal for AMD. So just a word to the wise, you probably want to put this one down on your list. It's definitely down on my list as something to buy as it moves into a buy, into a confirmed uptrend. Right now, the market is in a market is not in a confirmed uptrend. It's in a correction, but hopefully we're going to come through that and move into a uptrend. And when we do, that's a good time to buy AMD. All right, so thank you, David. Let's look at Bird, B-I-R-D. Is this the scooter company? I was down in Austin last summer, and those things are all over. They're kind of scattered all over the place. I don't, Allbirds, no, manufacturers woman. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Footwear, I am sorry. Wrong answer, wrong stock, wrong answer. Okay, what's going on? Well, not what I'd like to see. Don't know much about this stock. Not an expert in shoes, but I'd like buying shoe stocks. I have Nike right now, and it was one of the only companies that sort of held up during this last pullback. So that tells you something. Right now, the sales are going up very nicely, but the profits aren't there yet. So I'm a little bit concerned on that. It's got a relative strength of 5. It's a recent IPO. I think you got to avoid this one. So for my take on this, on Bird right now is my take on Bird is to avoid Bird. So I think you want to avoid Bird. I don't think it's gonna. It's not a good chart, and maybe it's a good shoe, but just avoid this one right now. I don't think this is a very good chart. I don't think it's going to help you very much. But let's look at the second one that you're suggesting, and that's NRD. Let's look at NRD to see what's going on there. And it would help if I got the right. Well, I'm not coming up with NRD, so I'm going to have to move on, unfortunately, on that one. Sorry about that. Oh, I'm sorry. Nerd, N-E-R-D. Okay, let's try that. All right, N-E-R-D. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it is. It's an exchange traded fund, Round Hill. Boy, I don't know what this is. So it's an ETF. This is the eSport ETF. Yeah, right now I would probably say this is really too speculative. But so for me, I probably would not be in it. A little too. For me, this is just a little bit too speculative. So I'm not saying anything bad about it. For at least for me, I probably would not be in this. I would not be in this one. I just think it's a little too speculative. This kind of ETF is just a little bit too speculative for me. It has a relative strength of 22 with a downward trend. I just can't get too excited about it. It doesn't have any sales. For some reason, it's going up. Well, of course, it doesn't have any sales because it's an ETF. What do you think? Of course, Jim. But I don't like the direction, so it's just a little too speculative for me. I'm not saying it's bad, but I just wouldn't be in it. I wouldn't be in it. I think there's better merchandise out there right All right, let's look at yellow, and this is one that I bought actually yesterday, and maybe I may have regretted it. I don't know. I like the area. The trucking area has done great, but it seems to be off a little bit after hours. I probably bought it too high. I bought it up about 15. My entry was not as good as it could have been. They just knocked it out of the park with their earnings. Their earnings are up 500%. And I think, yeah, and it definitely seems to have some support about 1350. I definitely bought it as it, I definitely bought it at the wrong point. I bought it right about here. Ugh, not a good look. I got to get better on my entries. Not a good look. That's where I bought it. Don't recommend, don't do as I say. Say as I do. Don't do as I say. Currently, it's down here. Hopefully, we're going to get some support at about 13. If not, I'll be out of it. But this seems to be supported about 1350. I like the stock. I just don't like my entry on it. It's got a 76 checklist. It's up 21% for its pivot in 8 weeks, which is excellent. And the last time it was up 45% in 20 weeks. So this should be a pretty good sector. The industry rank is four out of 197. So it's definitely where because of the logistics thing that are going on with the supply chain, this is definitely benefiting. I mean, they don't have enough trucks, they don't have enough drivers. That's the problem with them too. But they have a 98 relative strength. So I do like buying in these very, very high relative strength areas. I may have been a little bit too early in the buy here, but I want to check the chart to see, because this was not a true breakout. But see, that's where I bought it right as it was moving above there, and it's testing. So we'll see. I've got my stop loss here. I think you can see that. I've got my stop loss here, basically where it started the run. It moved up, and then it's got support here right about $11. So I have my stop loss about $10.99 right here. So hopefully we'll see some support here, and then it'll move up more. But if it moves above that about 1480 range and it can hold it, then it's going higher. So I do like the stock. I was grading my entry, and I'd give myself about a D plus on that entry. It was not the best entry, but I appreciate you bringing that up, Samuel. Really do, because I think it's a good stock. I think it's a good area. Old Dominion Freight Lines is the leader in that area. Yellow is not as big a company, but I bought more shares of Yellow. So that's not a good. By the way, that's not a good thing either. You always buy it by percentage. It doesn't matter how much the stock costs; it's how much it goes up. So, anyways, that's the thing. Hey, Jeb, what's a good point for Tesla in this downtrend? Good question. And and if I could tell you that exactly, I would be far richer than I am. But Tesla is a great stock. There's lots of great opportunity with Tesla. And the question is, where do we buy this darn thing? I think that, and what I'm gonna do here is sort of let's take away some of my notes. I've marked this up a lot, so let's get rid of those Let's look at those notes. What I do think happened is that let's see how it trades. It's trading up a little bit. The thing about Tesla is it tends to trade on whole numbers. The last buy on it really here was about 900 here. I think it's going to hold 1,000. I think this could be the beginning of a good bounce. But what's happening really with Tesla is it's in a consolidation. So I'm going to kind of draw that here. There's a consolidation going on, and the stock is not consolidated enough. It's going to consolidate around the 1,000 level, and then once we get a signal, it's moving up. Then it's time to buy. Right now, I just don't think you can do it. So going to the weekly chart, if we're to draw that reversal line, I think that's kind of where you got to be. So I think you got to wait. I think you got to wait on this, and it's painful. I think he needs to go up to about 1080 or 1100, really, to make that reversal. What I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna set. Well, about 1080 is where the reversal line is. That's really where I'm interested in. In possibly being in it once again, because that's where my stop loss was originally. There seems to be some support there, and then if it reverses higher than that, then I'm more interested. So right now, I just think you got to wait. So, and it's painful because I wish I was in, but I did take profits. So I'm going to wait. I am going to wait on Tesla until it moves above 1080. That's really where I see it. That's really where I see it for Tesla. Is it really needs to move above 1080 for me? So, but that's a great question. That's a great question. I'm out of Tesla right now only because it's just not an optimal buying point. So I would wait until it moves above 1080. All right, let's take a question from the people over on TikTok. Thank you for holding, everybody. By the way, if you want to take a look at this, Joe, just go to my just go to my YouTube to see the charts. I can't broadcast them on TikTok. I wish that I could. Believe me, one of these days I'm going to figure out how to do it. But I'm broadcasting on YouTube right now simultaneously. All you have to do is go to this address directly, or you can just go to my profile, click on the link, and it has a link directly to where the charts are happening. And I would appreciate if you go there, because you can see these and it's much easier. Right now, it just looks like I'm a talking head, which I am, but that might be a way to see it. Okay, let's take a question from TikTok regarding TSM. Of course, this is Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM. And I want to also take a look possibly at Global Foundries as well. This is the sort of the other stock that's in that same space. But right now, TSM, Taiwan Semi, by the way, Taiwan Semi makes just about everybody's chip that's in the fabless area. So these guys have a lot of business. There is a lot of political risk with them right now because their fabs are in Taiwan. They are building fabs, though, in Arizona right now and in Austin, Texas. So that's a very good sign. So don't count them out. But right now, it's a little bit, there are some political issues surrounding Taiwan Semi that are significant. We are above the 200-day line, which is good. We have a relative strength only, though, of 59. And this is an issue. So what I kind of want to do is I want to look at this area, this semiconductor manufacturing area. It's 9. And I want to look at it because I do think that we could possibly look for other potentially good companies that are in this area. And the top stocks. Nope, that's consumer finance. We don't want to be in that one. We want to be in. Let's see if I can get back. Let's see if I can get back to that one. TSM, and that's in 9 out of. There we go. There we go. Okay, so one of the ones we probably want to look at that's just been doing great business is this one called ON Semiconductor. It's based in Phoenix, Arizona. And unfortunately, it's not at a buy point right now, but boy, it's strong. This is a very, very strong stock. This is a fab. These guys are making, these guys are actually making chips right now. It's not at a buy point. Okay, I'll be honest with you. It's not at a buy point, but I really, really, really like this stock. If you're looking at TSM, I think you need to be looking at ON Semi as well, because this is one of the best of the breed. It has a 100% checklist, whereas Taiwan Semi does not. Let me show you Taiwan Semi. TSM, though it's the better known of the two, doesn't have quite as good of a checklist as you can see. The checklist for Taiwan Semi is 67. The checklist for ON Semi, ON, is 100% with a 98% relative strength. It's also a much less expensive stock, $63. This company, ON Semi, probably will be taking some of the business away from Taiwan Semi, especially in the lower end of the market. And so they do signal processing, analog, a lot of good stuff, but they have their own foundry, and that's the key here. If you've been following the semiconductor space, this is one you might want to look at. It's in the same group as Taiwan Semi, but it's stronger on semiconductor. So here's what I would say with, if you're looking at this semiconductor manufacturing group, I think that really what you have to do is possibly look at this one. So if you're looking, if you are looking at TSM, take a look at onsemi, which is a stronger stock currently. So that's kind of the thing that I think you have to do with Taiwan Semi, is that if you're into, if you're looking to get into Taiwan Semi, I'd be a little bit careful. It's a great stock, but I think that on Semi might be a better bet, just because it's just in a better part of its life cycle right now. So that's kind of how I would answer that question. Let me write that down on my list. On Semi, as a stock that I personally would like to get into, I just haven't found the right look, the right place to get in. But my interests have not been the greatest this late, so whatever. Let's look at GM, and of course that's in the automobile group, obviously, with Tesla, Ford, Live Motors, just a lot of them. It's in a buy zone currently. That's the interesting thing about General Motors. General Motors is in a buy zone. There is a buy point on it. It's a double bottom, stage one buy point at 58.60. And currently it's at 59.60. So it's definitely within a buy zone. It's got, in terms of the autos, this is looking very good. It's got an 87 relative strength. It has a 67% checklist, which isn't bad. It's not, I'd like to see it better, but it's still not bad. It's 2% above the pivot. This is a good place to buy it. 2% above the pivot, but it is 8% below the breakout. So that means it's already settled. It's broken out, and then it's come back and it's settling there. So it's getting nice support. This isn't necessarily a bad place to buy it. The question is, does it have a good RS rating, this relative strength? And it does, but it is falling. A week ago it was 88. It's now at 85. So it's not bad. I mean, it was off a little bit today, but quarter to date, it's up 14%. So that's pretty darn good. It's up 44% year to date. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think this is a good stock. Now, would I go in and buy this with two hands? Probably not. Probably not. But I do like it. It's strong, and it definitely could be bought here. So that might be a possibility. MDRX, let's look at that. Thank you for that, all scripts. Now, this one is at a buy point. This one is at a buy point, and that is significant because the buy point on this one is 1760. It is a couple handle first stage, which is the best, one of the best patterns, by the way. Now, here's the problem: is it peeked its head over that buy point at 1760, and then it pulled right back down. Here's what I would do with this one. I probably would not buy it until it closed above 1760, but everything else looks good on this. It looks good on this chart. The only thing, its sales are not quite as good, but this is an excellent chart. It is in the medical software area, which I don't really like, but it is software. It's in the medical area. It is a little bit low, but here's the thing, and I would say on this one, this is viable, but you want to make sure, because of the way this market is trading right now, you want to make sure that this is viable if it can hold above 1760 after the close. So I would be, I would be kind of, I would wait on this one until we confirmed that it was holding above that 1760 buy point. Because if it holds above that 1760 buy point, and it can hold it, that's a good place. That's a good place to buy it. But I would wait until it holds that 1760, because it can get rejected from that. It went up to there, it got rejected, it pulled back. It's making its second attempt now. Typically on the third attempt, that's when you want to buy it. That's when there's enough pressure for it going up. But it does look very, very good. There was a lot of buying activity, and if you notice, there is dropping volume here, which indeed is a good thing because there's all up bars. So there is selling activity, but not everyone, but everybody is basically selling at the ask price according to this. So that's kind of how I would take it. I like this one, MRDX. I like that. I like this chart. It's a very, very good chart. So thank you for sharing that with everyone. And yeah, I definitely think it's viable. But I want to see it. I want to see it close with strength. That's the main thing. I want to see it close with strength. MRDX. It's viable if it closes above 1760 and holds it for a day or two. So thank you very much for that. Bitcoin is pulling back. Time to buy? Well, Bitcoin. That's a good question. I want to take a look at. The GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, because that's the ETF that tracks 4% of the world's Bitcoin. It is a little bit troublesome right now if you look at the chart, because it has pulled below that $40 range. But is it time to buy? Well, I think it might be when it reverses, and I have a reversal line on it here. So I think that it will be the time to buy shortly. Right now, no, I don't think it is. But let's see if I can pull up. Let's see if I can pull up a chart. Let's see if I can pull up a chart for Bitcoin. And I'm just going out to the. I'm just going out to the web, pulling that up and taking a look at that chart. So let's pull that chart in. All right, according to my chart, we are still in a downtrend. So kind of let's go out to about, this is the 5-day average. This is the monthly average. So basically we have sort of a downward trend. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but we're still in downward trend. So we're waiting for some support. The question is, where is support going to happen? Let's look at the 6-month chart to kind of get an idea. I think the support, we might get support as low as $40,000. So right now it did have a little bit of a dead cat bounce, but let's see if we get some support at about $40,000. And then if there's an uptrend there, then let's revisit it. But right now, I think we've got to wait for it to bottom. I'm looking possibly for it to bottom at about 40,000, but I'm not. I can't really tell for sure. So I think we got to wait for Bitcoin to bottom, and I'm at approximately 40K. That's kind of where I think it's going to bottom, but who knows? I mean, I think we just got to look at it. You can kind of get it, visit it every day. You got to look at it day by day to see. But that's kind of where I see it. I see it. That's kind of where I see it. If we get it to bottom, if it bottoms at about 40,000, that's where we really trying to buying it. That's right here, as you can see. There seems to be some support right at about 40,000. So I think it's going to pull back to about 40,000. That's sort of what I'm looking at here. And then I think, it might be an excellent buy. Absolutely. Okay. Any other picks? No. Thoughts on WFC? Let's see with WFC. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can get that WFC. That's Wells Fargo, of course. We all know. The banks. I am not a big fan of banks. I've never really been able to make all that much money on them, but Wells Fargo is, it's one of the big money center banks. It's in a consolidation range, and it just seems to be moving along. with earnings in about 35 days, this might be an excellent candidate for a covered call or a poor man's covered call, because it looks to me like it's just kind of in this trading range and not really doing anything. So I can't really get overly excited about it. It's got a nice checklist. The the problem is the industry rank is 112 out of 127. It's definitely a good, it's a great stock in the money center stocks. If the price of if the price of if the price of interest goes up, then I think this might be once again a good stock. But I don't know. I just can't really get very, very excited, unfortunately, Arun, about it. Just because financial stocks in general don't move as nicely. I think that probably a better bet would be to concentrate in some of the semiconductor fabless areas, possibly, or or some of those trucking stocks. I think those trucking stocks are likely to do better than this. So that's it's not a bad stock. I mean, it's a good safety stock. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I just don't think it's very exciting. All right, so let's look at Robinhood. Robinhood, everybody's favorite. I have not been in this one. But I do have, as you can see, my notes on it. I have some annotations here. This thing has not been able to get above the reversal line, basically, as you can see. It's got a relative strength of 8. I just think with this one, I just think you got to avoid it. I for right now, it just doesn't, it doesn't really look good. So Hood is an avoid for now. So that's kind of how I look at the stock, because it is, it is in this downtrend, and with a relative strength of 8, I just can't get too excited about it. It's got a 44 checklist, which is not what I want to see. I want to see a stronger checklist than this. And the industry is okay, but I think you just got to pass on this one. Well, I'm probably down to the last question, and I thank you so much, everybody, for all the questions they ask. I mean, I could go on all night with this. It's always a good thing to do. All right, so here we go. Samuel, when are you starting chart analysis training on Discord? I would like to join as soon as possible. I am trying to make. I have gotten. I am trying to make some videos right now. Thank you for this so much, Samuel. I'm going to basically do this. This is coming up. I haven't been able to. I've had some things that I had to do before the end of the year. Just FYI, I sold a house in California, and I've got to buy houses here in Texas because I'm facing a lot of tax. So that's been taking a lot of my time. And thank you so much for reminding. It's coming. It's coming. And believe me, once you start doing technical chart analysis, it'll rock your world, because you can become very, very good at this, and it definitely helps you in your trading. When I started doing this 20 years ago, I was throwing darts into a board like a monkey. And when I started doing chart analysis, it just helps me. It helps me tremendously. So it's starting soon. And thank you so much for bringing that up and reminding me. Keep on reminding me. All right, is Path a sell or a buy? It's a sell, I'm afraid to say. It's just you can't hold on to this one when it's in a chart pattern like this. If it turns up, then you could buy it. But right now, unfortunately, it really just is. You just got to bite the bullet. This is the hardest thing in trading to learn, is how to take losses. But Path is a sell. It's definitely a sell, and that's just that's just all there is. That's all there is to it. It's a sell. Okay, everyone, thank you so very much. Always a pleasure. If you're not on our action trailers, it's easy. This is the free thing that you can join. We do have a lot of really good information on that. But to really get the and that's, by the way, that is the email address. But to really get the full flavor of it, of course, we have our Discord room, and that's available by going to www.Dell's Trading Floor. I'll be back tomorrow on Friday. I hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully the market's going to turn. Get ready with those checklists. Tonight I'm going to be putting out the ready list to everybody that is signed up for the action trailer. It's, of course, the people in the Discord group got that early, but the people, but we are going to, because I think it's so important to build that watch list. The ready list is going to go out tonight to everybody who is on the action trade alerts. I mean, on the free action trade alerts, which you do by signing up by going to www.Dell's Trading Floor. Well, thanks again, everybody. So enjoy this, and I'll be back tomorrow at 3:45. Please, please, please like this, because if you like this, then it gets it out to more people, and we're trying to reach a lot of people because, believe me, learning how to trade can change your life. It has changed mine, and I want to get it out to as many people as possible on YouTube. So please like this. Please like this one, and we'll get it out to more people. But until then, happy trading, everybody.